everyone, you are listening to another episode of the Bronco Breakdown. My name is Alana Hamwi, and today some of our topics will be whether flexible seating is helpful or distracting, how to get an A in an AP class, and how to start a club. I am here with Gaby Mendoza.
Hello.
And Anna Waller.
Hi. So first we'll be talking about flexible seating. Is it helpful or distracting? Gaby, do you want to start with your thoughts?
So flexible seating, I actually really like it, although I don't know how it's going to work right now when we go back to school. But I'm mostly worried about how like cloth and all that type of stuff when we go back to school because of the whole virus. But I think it's pretty fine. It helps a lot of kids like focus and they can get a lot more work done.
Yeah, I agree. So, honestly, I've never been able to be in a class that had flexible seating, but if I was in one, I think it would be good because I know at home with distance learning, I've been in a comfy chair all day, and that really helps me focus and study. But I know that, in a group setting, maybe that could be distracting. And overall, I really like the idea, and maybe when we come back, it could be a potential option in the future. Although, yeah, I understand your concern about the virus and
No,
stuff.
yeah, because I have seen a lot about like how certain teachers have to take like certain teachers that already have like flexible seating, they have to get rid of it because like they can attract bacteria, how it can get stuck onto it, which I feel really bad because they're really fun.
Yeah, that's just another downside to having to go back to school during this, because then if flexible seating helps student focus, and I think it does, and it's beneficial, that then they won't be able to have that to help them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But what other type of flexible seatings do you guys like? Because I know there's multiple different types of seats. So like, do you guys have any preferences on what type of seating you like? Or do you just like a normal desk and sitting there?
I like a
Um,
lot more of just like the comfy types. So like if you have, or maybe more like, I don't know, being able to move around. So like if you get to sit on like an exercise ball or something, I feel like that's kind of fun if you're sitting there. And then also just more like comfy chairs. Like Alana said, I think that definitely helps instead of just sitting in like a hard, uncomfortable chair for like 40 minutes.
yeah, I totally agree with that.
So also another question. What classes specifically do you think should be allowed to have flexible seating, or should it be all classes?
Um, I think all classes if the teacher wants it. Like if the teacher thinks that that class, certain students in that class or something need it, then it can. I think it should be the teacher's choice, but I mean some teachers love even teaching with that. Well, they'll have their own flexible seating for their desk. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it really depends on the class. I'm sure flexible seating could be really easily integrated into some of those more creative type classes, like maybe art or something like that. But again, it does all depend on the teacher and their level of comfort with that.
We are back on Bronco Breakdown, and we are here with Miss Duffy, and we will be talking about how to get an A in an AP class. Welcome, and our first question for you is for the students who don't know you, what AP classes do you teach?
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I teach AP World right now, but I've also taught AP Economics.
How is AP different from honors or regular?
So AP classes are designed to give students more of a feel of what it's like to be a college student. It's run by the College Board, which is an organization that partners with universities across the country. And the goal is to get students to be more readily aware of what the rigor of AP classes are like. So there's going to be more reading, more writing, more critical thinking, more student responsibility, as well as the assessments are going to be higher in terms of how you apply the knowledge instead of just memorize, spit back out. It's memorize, understand, and then apply.
Right. So what's the benefit of taking an AP course?
There are so many benefits. So first off, it's going to be hard work, which is why you want to figure out what the benefits are, right? Because it's a sacrifice to take a class like this. So first thing is you are going to get a higher GPA. So if you get an A in an AP class, instead of it being a 4, it's now a 5. So a lot of students are interested in it because of the GPA benefit. There's also a benefit of getting different life skills. So time management, self-efficacy, being able to advocate for yourself, understanding workloads, as well as how you can maybe struggle through things. A lot of our students are pretty used to doing okay by not putting a lot of effort in. And so an AP class would demonstrate that you need to put in more effort and make sure you understand. And then lastly, there is a huge financial benefit. So if you get a 3, a 4, or a 5 on the AP test, and the score is out of 5, you end up with the ability to earn college credit. And then if you get in an Illinois state or a University of Illinois, any public university has to take that score, and then you get to apply it to your college. So you could end up saving your family and yourself hundreds, if not a couple $1,000s by doing it. I did that. My university only took certain scores, so not every AP test counted, but to try and, pay like $100 per test and end up saving over $3,000 is an awesome benefit.
Okay, so how can you prepare for an AP class before it starts?
We often have boot camps. So like this summer, I ran a boot camp for AP history, and it was on Zoom. It was the students' kind of first look at what it would be like to have like a Zoom class. But we run boot camps, especially for first-time AP takers. So you get to meet teachers, you get to see what the textbook readings are like, you get to try different problems. If you don't have the opportunity before summer, you could always do a shadow. We used to have a program called like AP, where you got to take a peek into an AP class during the school year. And then we had different sessions where you can go like have a pizza party and talk with an AP teacher. I think the teacher component's really clutch, because then you can kind of see where the teachers are coming from instead of just like information on the internet where there's no personal connection.
So I know all students would handle the workload differently, but what resources does BHS have to help the struggling AP students?
One, students actually formed what is called the AP Student Association. So it's like peer-on-peer tutoring, which is a great resource that was formed by one of our former students. And this would be a way, if you're someone who maybe enjoys more of that camaraderie, you can take it there. And they're doing in-person soon, maybe, I think. And then they also have Zoom sessions where you're kind of partnered with one-on-one. So it's not like a big group setting, but it's more of like a tutoring experience, but it's from a peer who's gone through that class already. In addition, the Academic Resource Center is usually staffed with an AP teacher, so you can log into the VARC or if we're in person, the regular ARC, and you can meet the teacher and talk through that. There's a bunch of websites that we would have students use, like Khan Academy. The College Board has a new website called My AP Classroom, which is really helpful, and there's lots of practice problems you can take over and over again until you get it right. We also pay for one, which is called, what is it called? It used to be called Learnerator. Oh, it changed its name. Oh, I don't remember what it's called. Albert.io. Yes, I got there. Okay, so Albert.io is one of them. Teachers usually have extra hours to help students with things, or on blended days, making sure students have those connections. Teachers will reach out. And then lastly, we often have students take like on review books. So if people can't afford it, we have a fund that students can get access to review books like Princeton Review. Our Barons have really good resources as well.
What are some note-taking tips that you have for students?
So a lot of times students think that because it's a higher level thinking class, they're kind of on their own, but usually most teachers provide some sort of reading guide or like note-taking guide. So like in AP World, we have a reading guide where teachers actually define all the key terms for students so they can kind of work their way through paraphrasing them. And then there's a series of questions that we have kids to use to guide their notes. So one of the things that I notice, as someone who's really interested in literacy for younger people, is students just kind of like dive headfirst into readings and they have no idea what they're doing. And especially when it's at a higher thinking level, they're like, I don't know where I'm going with this. So we request that students try to have a focus for their reading or a purpose, and the margin review questions are a great way to do that. In APUSH, they just have questions at the end. So you look at the end questions and then you focus your reading around those. I also recommend, if you're someone who needs to be organized, doing an outline style. I'm that kind of person where I bullet point and indent and highlight things. If you're someone who's like, I think more freely, then maybe using like a free flow chart where you have the main idea in the middle and branching off from there. But the biggest thing is your notes should be usable. I cannot tell you how many times kids come to me and they're like, I reread the chapter. I'm all ready. And you're like, no, that's crazy. Why are you rereading the chapter? You just wasted all this time. Use your notes to guide you. So it takes a while to figure out what you like. Just like sometimes you don't know what you like in terms of like what you're on a study or maybe what sport you like. So I would recommend that students try different methods, like the Princeton method or the outline method or even the free flow chart. But then if it's not usable, you have to find a different way to make it usable. Usable also means like legible, and you can go back and understand what you were talking about.
Right, thank you. So how are online AP classes different, and are there other ways of preparing now that we're all online?
Awesome. Okay, so in person, we used to do a lot of more multiple choice, and that was kind of how we figured out if kids understood the key context. And we also used a lot more of what we call stimulus-based multiple choice questions. This is more for history classes rather than like a science or a math class, but a lot of us have had to move away from that because we want to know what students know, not what students can find on the internet, because a big part of learning is proving that you know what you know. So what we've done a little bit differently is focus on the writing aspect. And in history classes, the AP test is 4 parts, but 3 of the 4 parts are writing. So I actually think it's a benefit being online because students are less fearful of the multiple choice and rather they're focused on what they can apply in terms of that writing. So we've done a lot of short answers where they have to demonstrate key terms as evidence. We've done a lot more like essay writing practice, and that's really good, especially for kids who want to go to college. They have to be able to write college admissions essays and things like that. So I think there's a lot more feedback given on online classes because I don't get to see students' faces. So I can't answer questions. Instead, I have to like either video myself giving feedback or write a lot of feedback. So I think that students get more benefit right now, at least about in terms of writing. I meant to prepare. I think sometimes kids want to use every resource available to you. And you guys probably know the phrase, like if you spread yourself too thin, you're not really getting better at anything. So I think students need to find something that works for them and go with that instead of being like, I did every review guide available. Well, did you retain anything? Did you apply anything? Or did you just complete a task? So especially with online learning, to prepare, make sure you understand it. I think having a Zoom call with people in your class rather than just like rereading your notes or retyping your notes is a great way to learn because you learn from teaching to other people. And even though we can't be face-to-face physically, we can be face-to-face virtually and we can still talk and learn. I think that's a great component.
Okay, how can students find out what AP classes are offered at BHS?
Awesome question. So we've been working really hard to make that more available to people. So in the course guide, it'll say it, but also we're working on, in the counseling department, disseminating a booklet of classes available and focused in like AP. But instead of just on AP, we're trying to show students what tracks are available. So for example, if you want to take AP Chem, you have to have certain classes beneath that to get to that level, like honors chem. So we've compiled kind of like a flow chart so students can see if you want to be a nurse, here are the classes you need to take. And some of them could be honors, some of them are AP, some of them are actually even at the regular level as well. But we really want students to study what they like. You tend to get higher scores on things that you like. You're more connected to things you like. And we also want students to have the opportunity to take a college level class. I think everybody should take a college level class before they graduate high school if they want to go to college. But I think it should be in a field that you want to go into. So don't just take it because you want a GPA boost, but take it because you're interested in what's going on. So that's at the homepage, and also the counseling department has that cheat sheet. And last year I tried to start compiling a cheat sheet so kids could know what's expected. So we designed a booklet basically where teachers say like, here's the skill levels, here's what's expected of you. And I think hearing from the teachers is pretty cool perspective because they know what goes on in their classrooms.
Oh, thank you. So what advice do you have for students that want to improve upon their time management skills?
So to be frank with you guys, I did not do well at this in high school. It took me till college, and then I was playing 2 sports and I was double majoring. And then I learned because I had to. I think it's better to learn when you don't have to and you're not stuck like I was. So I think writing things down, whether it's like typing it on your phone or having like an actual to-do list, is really important. I know I get a sense of pride when I check it off and I know that I've accomplished something and move forward, even if it's like a really small task. A lot of students don't utilize the tech they have. So when I was in high school, I went to Barrington. I don't know if you guys know that. So fun fact. We had planners and teachers would write it on the whiteboard and that was it. There was no like online learning. There was no like Schoology that we could use. We just had to remember it. And I think that sometimes we rely on tech too much. Just like, I think you guys should know how to get to your house from the high school and not have to use GPS. I think like when you're a driver, you should kind of know what direction you're headed. So using the technology to support you, not be you. So if you have access to a handwritten planner and that's how you roll, do that. But if you're going to use your phone, like I set alarms, I have a Fitbit that I wear and I'm like, okay, by this time and this needs to be done. And then for me, it's denying myself things that I want if I don't get it done. So if I can't grade 5 essays, I don't get to go get my next cup of tea that I want. And that works for me. So you have to kind of figure out strategies, but a lot of times we forget that we need to get stuff done and we kind of focus on what we want to do at the time, and kind of that self-control and like maybe denial of something you want helps with time management so you can get done. Because you can, I mean, I'm super busy and there's that phrase, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, but you have to learn how to be busy in like a productive way instead of like a chaos way. So making sure that you set goals for yourself and that you actually accomplish those goals instead of being like, oh, I'll do it later. You don't want to be that kid.
Okay, thank you. What are some key study habits students should be aware of?
Oof, okay. One, like I said earlier, don't memorize and spit back out. This is kind of a gross metaphor that I use with my freshmen, but it works. You want to be the baby bird, not the mama bird. So the mama bird eats the food and then like chews it up and then spits it out without getting any nutrients. And then the baby's just like waiting for it and it gets all the nutrients. You want to be the baby who gets like the mashed up nutrients. So if you can't make something simplified, you don't understand it. If you can't teach it to someone orally, you don't understand it. If you just do passive, what I call passive studying, so like looking at a Quizlet over and over again, or Kahoot, that's passive studying. You haven't done anything to show you know stuff. Like in our classroom in Global Honors and AP World, I love using whiteboards to have students do like compare and contrast Buddhism and Hinduism. And then they have to show me that they know what to do without their notes. So you can use your notes to study, but then you should test yourself without it. And the testing yourself shouldn't just be like multiple choice. You should do like handwritten stuff or type stuff so you know what you know. And then I always try to get students to figure out what they don't know. And that's the stuff you study. Too often I see students studying everything. And if you know it really well, you don't need to study it. It's already there. Like you've made a connection to the material. And then the last key study skill I would say is make sure you do make those connections. So if you're trying to learn something, but you don't feel like connected to it at all, it's going to be really hard to learn it. So that's why I tell students when you're taking notes and you're like, oh, that reminds me of this. Even if it's like a fiction thing. For example, we learn about the Aztecs. Their system of tribute is just like the Hunger Games. I love the Hunger Games. Make that connection. If you don't make it personal, it's not going to stay in your head.
Okay, well, those are all of our questions, so thank you so much for coming and answering them.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so next on Bronco Breakdown, we'll talk about how starting a club is changing this year.
We're back on Bronco Breakdown, and now we have to be talking about how to create your own club.
Okay. The title of the segment might be misleading though, because this year BHS is actually not accepting any new clubs.
Instead, they're encouraging students to find other ways to put their efforts into, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. So I think one good way around this problem would be to organize an event. So, like, events could be anything from a nonprofit to a blog or a website.
Okay, so the thing is that since we're like kind of stuck at home, most events have to be through video call or would have to be a small group of people, like at a certain time, at a certain place where you can safely do the event. Like I don't know how to explain it.
Right. Like, I get what you mean. And like I said before, you can make maybe some sort of website, something to do with fundraising. Any of those things could be really helpful.
I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely.
anything on social media and advertise it on there, because like over quarantine and like not being able to like see each other in person, social media has become a big part of like doing things. So I mean, just like spreading it over social media, maybe trying to get some sort of support there, anything like that would help.
Also, I think that like certain stores around the area do allow you to put up posters and stuff for like your own events. So going to like, I know the Starbucks near where I live, they allow you to put up little like, what are they called? They're like
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 flyers?
papers, like yeah, flyers. Sorry, where you could like write down information, like when and where. I know that they allow that, and that would be really easy to like start up a small event with a couple people, like put in like a phone number or a certain social media where people can like actually get interested and try to kind of be together and have something to do.
Yeah, these events, I feel like they could really help bring together the community. So I really encourage anybody listening to this to try to start one of these. I feel like they're really good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we hope to see you next time.